What if you look at a human being and you look at the improbability of our, how we are put together? Do you believe that we are largely an accident of multi-billions of years of evolution?
Yes. How do we know? How do we not know that there's? How do we know that there isn't something that's identical to us on another, planet somewhere that we haven't encountered yet? It's just a skeptic in me that's thinking that way. That says, hey, maybe there's something out there that we haven't contacted yet that is on in another galaxy or another planet or something that we just don't know about.
Or maybe there isn't.
Okay.
So the improbability, though, of our existence and the Earth and oxygen and carbon and nitrogen and all of it together, you don't marvel at a human being being able to heal itself when it's cut or grow to a...
No, because we're not the only beings on Earth that can do that. There's a lot of people...
Well, we are the only ones that can reason, though.
Okay.
Do you marvel at our capacity to reason it? Even the ability for mammals or reptiles to reproduce life, you don't see any intelligent design behind it.
None.
You just see it as
it's a consequence of natural selection and evolution over millions and millions of years.
So,
what's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are feeling good. My name is Elario, your host, and today I'm back to another video and check out with you guys. This is called Charlie Kirk Debate Atheist on God's Existence. You know the drill, guys. We talk less and we react more. Let's check this one out.
Hey, Charlie. I've been watching your videos for a long time. Been a big fan of yours. One thing I will say is that I have come out here not only because I turned conservative in about 2016 with Trump's first run. I've always also been a devout atheist, and I've been proud in my beliefs with that. I find the the Bible, to be a very fictitious book. I find that it has a lot of contradictions that are not squared away by anybody that finds it, that reads it. So I'm just want to know, one thing I want to get for you before we dive into that is, how can we get more people of different faiths to come to the conservative movement instead of, because a lot of what I see of you is espousing on, Christian virtues and to a lesser extent Jewish, but I think that there could be a lot more that we could do with ideas rather than the beliefs of religion.
Let's start with the idea of atheism, if that's okay.
Sure.
I'm going to go through all of the arguments for God's existence.
Okay.
I want you to tell me if you've heard them before or if they are compelling.
Okay.
First is what's called the ontological argument for God, which ontos comes from the Greek. It's the Greek word for being.
Sure.
So the highest conception of human beings, we can only conceptualize that which is real. And so the highest conception of our own, combined wisdom is God. I think this is the weakest argument for God, to be perfectly honest.
Right, and I'll agree with you there, yeah.
Yeah, but it is a proof that an ontological view of God. The second of which is called the cosmological view of God, coming from the Greek word cosmos, which means all-encompassing creation.
Sure.
If you look around with creation, there are 15 fine-tuned measurements that if anyone went off by a micron, our entire existence would not exist. The tilt of the Earth, our proximity to the sun, our configuration of oxygen to carbon dioxide. In fact, we can look at the probability of our existence. It's 1 in multiple trillions that all of this would come together at an exact time, let alone consciousness, let alone human beings, let alone our DNA.
Sure, I want to counter that with the fact that there are millions upon millions of galaxies with millions upon millions of their own stars, with millions and millions of their own planets. If we didn't, I don't think that if this Earth was not in this exact space as it exists now, I think that is also not compelling, because we would have found existence on in another location in the universe if it was not just in this space.
I don't have enough faith to believe that, but let me continue onwards. Okay. Then there is what's called the teleological argument for God. That comes from the Greek word telos, which means, we get the word telescope. It means goal, destination, or purpose. This here goes to an argument that for every cause, for every effect, there must be a cause. So, for example, we can agree that space, time, and matter exist. We agree.
Yes.
Therefore, definitionally, something that is outside of space, time, and matter must have made space, time, and matter exist.
Not necessarily. We can. Well,
then it's against the laws of reason.
Not, because there could always be a universe that existed before our Big Bang. It's not. We could have existed with space, but no matter, in a very tiny point. That's what basically the Big Bang was. So I don't see how that disproves atheism. And
There-
it's more atheism is more of a I don't believe God exists. Why is this compelling?
Well, I'm going to go through two
Yeah,
more
yeah.
proofs
Okay,
of God,
sure.
and then we'll finish. Then there's
Okay.
what's called the column proof of time, which is thanks to Albert Einstein, we know that time is actually a real thing that can be traversed with enough speed. And in order for time to exist, something timeless must have created it. Finally, there's something called the axiological view of God. I don't know if you know this one. Axios comes from the Greek word judgment. Axios and judgment mean
Sure,
the same
sure.
thing, which basically means that every human being has some form of right and wrong embedded in us. For example, when the Nuremberg trials were happening, the Nazis were not able to say, well, it was just the laws of the land. They actually appealed to a higher power, saying
Right.
that every one of us had some good or evil within us. Out
Okay,
of all-
so that doesn't. I mean, that kind of disproves, right? I mean, if the Nazis were able to point to something outside of themselves and say, hey, this is the reason why we're doing this.
They
crap.
didn't. No, the point is
Okay.
the Nazis
Okay.
didn't. Is that the
Yeah.
people doing the trial
Okay.
did. Meaning the Nazis were not able to
Oh,
excuse
okay.
that.
Okay.
So out of all those proofs of God, what, if any of them, are persuasive to you?
None.
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 Okay. So then if you look at a human being and you look at the improbability of our, how we are put together, do you believe that we are largely an accident of multi-billions of years of evolution?
Yes. How do we know? How do we not know that How do we know that there isn't something that's identical to us on another, planet somewhere that we haven't encountered yet? It's just a skeptic in me that's thinking that way. That says, hey, maybe there's something out there that we haven't contacted yet that is in another galaxy or another planet or something that we just don't know about.
Or maybe there isn't.
Okay.
So the improbability, though, of our existence and the Earth and oxygen and carbon and nitrogen and all of it together, you don't marvel at a human being being able to heal itself when it's cut or grow to a...
No, because we're not the only beings on Earth that can do that. There's a lot of people.
Well, we are the only ones that can reason, though.
Okay.
Do you marvel at our capacity to reason it? Even the ability for mammals or reptiles to reproduce life. You don't see any intelligent design behind
No,
it.
none.
You just see it
None.
as
It's a consequence of natural selection and evolution over millions and probably millions of years.
So we both have faith.
Okay.
I would argue you have a lot more faith than I do. You have a lot more blind faith to believe that everything around you, love, joy, peace, sadness, is all just a construct of neurons firing in your brain.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So do you believe that we are just limited to our five senses?
No, I think even science has said that there can be like a sixth sense of.
What is that sixth sense?
Like a sixth sense that can be aware of what's surrounding the body. That like I can know that there's another person next to me, or there's a microphone in front of me. I can sense that. I don't need to have my eyes. Or I could be blind and I could still know that was there. I mean, I didn't need. I use more than five senses. Science has told us that for decades that we have more.
What do you think happens when you die?
Nothing. Our electronic impulses just stop firing and
Let me ask you
Nothingness.
the most important question.
Okay.
Do you hope you're wrong?
not really. No, I mean I've got
So,
this.
you don't desire an afterlife.
I consider this life as an atheist the more compelling than even when I was younger and when I was religious, because I think that this is the only life we have. We need to do with it what we can, the best that we can do it, and it's like I said, it's just the one chance we got. We don't have an afterlife. We don't have anything after that. So our goal is to become the best people that we can possibly be in that one chance that we get.
Okay, I will be stunned. So you hope that there's no eternal judgment and you never see your loved ones after you die.
No, not really.
I hope you all internalize just how dark that is, how sad that is. And it's fine, I'm not trying to criticize you.
Yeah.
We as Christians have hope that we are going to see our loved ones again, and that we will be in heaven, and that we will be in perfect peace, and that this is not it.
Yeah.
In fact, there's something even better awaiting us. So I hope one day that you do seek to find something higher and better, that this is not all for us in our existence. Thank you so much.
Fair enough, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, first off, wow. Okay, I've actually seen my fair share of atheists, both physical and via Charlie Kirk Media, but this is the first one I'm seeing boldly saying like there's no life after this and they won't want to reconnect with their loved ones after this. You see, when someone was trying to get me to believe in the Big Bang, I asked him, I said, what caused the Big Bang? He said, it's a series of events that caused the Big Bang. What caused the series of events that caused the Big Bang? You see, the truth is, even if you want to rely on that Big Bang theory, fact still remains that something caused it. And that something is what you can't explain. See, I don't know about you, but for me, there are so many reasons for me to know that God exists. For me to know that, yes, there is a supernatural being out there that programmed this universe. The air around us. That air contains both oxygen and carbon dioxide. Now, we humans are so complex and beautifully made that our lungs have the ability to pick out the one in the atmosphere to inhale. It's fascinating. Because in basic elementary science, they tell us we humans inhale oxygen and we exhale carbon dioxide. Right? So, if we inhale oxygen, then if you feel like everything is just a series of programming, and why can't we exhale oxygen? What's the reason why we can't exhale oxygen? Even plants, they take in carbon dioxide and bring out oxygen. What's the reason for that? Even we humans, if you think everyone was just engineered scientifically, or we all evolved per se, then why didn't we all evolve to one color? To make reference to the slave era, the slave traders then always said that the blacks looked like apes. So, is this whole evolution theory really making sense? Because, I mean, you say we all evolved, but there is significant difference in looks between a white man, a black man, a Mongolese, a Chinese, an Asian, European, whatever race. There is a very significant difference, be it the shape of our nose, be it the texture of our hair, be it the color of our skin. Our dental arrangement, everything is so different and so complex in every human being, even with those of the same skin color, even with those of the same state. I mean, it's not every black man as the slave traders then said resembled apes. Really sorry to use that instance, but I mean, because the entire evolution theory is that we evolved from apes. I don't look like an ape. I don't see how I evolved from an ape. And it's obscene because, I mean, the whole evolutionary pattern, you can see that at one point, something so big evolved from fishes. And it's been long I read the evolution theory book. I actually read that book cover to cover to like actually understand what I was saying. Because I actually believed in all this evolution stuff at some point. But by the time I read that book, it made no sense. Honestly and self-speaking, it made no sense. Because you can't tell me that a frog evolved from a fish. And from that frog, a snake came. Then, as time went on, man. I mean, the whole train, it's ridiculous. The whole train of evolution is ridiculous. And honestly, we can sit and argue that God doesn't exist, but deep down, you should know that we humans control nothing. Just like, it's this kind of people that actually debate climate change. Because I know that the change in seasons is a natural occurring event. I mean, God designed it. You know, change in weather, rain, dry season, summer, spring, winter. God designed it. Human activities have nothing to do with it whatsoever. So, atheists can deny all they want that God doesn't exist. But honestly, between you and me, you should know that even if you don't call him God, even if you don't worship him, praise him, or acknowledge him, you do know that there is a greater power out there than what the scientists make you believe. You do know that there is something or someone that actually created this universe. And if he so chooses, can stamp it out. I mean, look at the other example Charlie gave. Matter and time exist. So it would make perfect sense that someone outside matter, someone outside time, actually created those forces. Man, look, I really can't begin to prove more points on why I think the whole evolution and atheist theory is misleading, but really, check yourselves. If you can explain up to 2% of what happens in the world today, if you can give a very concrete explanation without any gaps whatsoever on something other than human nature is responsible for it, then kudos to you. Because if everything happened by accident, let me tell you, we would all look like the result of an accident. And everyone knows how the results of accident look like. Bad. Very bad. Distorted. If you feel like humans have or scientists have an explanation for everything, then can they tell you how many drops of water are in the ocean? Can they tell you how many grains of sand are on the seashore? Can they name every single animal that is under the sea, even those in the wild? There are many things that we humans have not seen. Many things that we can't even understand, we can't decipher. Many things that are too great for our human eyes to behold, and to be an insult to the creator of this universe. To ascribe such important things as rubbish. It will really be an insult for you to say that such complex things have these ridiculous explanations. You can't explain it. You honestly can't. Scientists have only been able to tell us how conception is formed when a man and woman comes together. But they can't explain why a man has sperm and a woman has ovaries. They can't explain it. So, people should stop trying to play the God complex here. And as an atheist, just search within yourself. Look within yourself. You see that everything we have is just a measure of God's grace. Everything on this earth was designed by the Creator himself. Everything. No single one left out. Because as I said earlier, if you can explain 2% of what happens in the world today without ascribing it to a greater force, to another being more powerful, then kudos to you, because you're just living a lie. Guys, please let us know what you think in the comment section. Also remember to drop a thumbs up for us at the end of this video. If you just joined the channel for the first time, please click that bell button to notify when we drop a new video. And of course, subscribe to follow us for more updates. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe.